I didn't know there were this many versions. What? Do they still sell these things new? Generic intro and the deck goes me. We're back with another Scott the Wild's video, and today we're doing a look back at the Nintendo 3DS, which is a console I've never held or used or done anything with. I had the original DS, and me and my brother both had one. I still have them, actually. They're both red. I have fond memories of playing the DS on, like, car rides and stuff like that, sometimes taking it to school and whatnot. But the last video was the Wii underpowered yet underrated by Scott the Wild. You can check my reaction to that video. I'll leave it right up there. Also, link down below in the description, and maybe I'll make a Scott the Wild playlist for my channel. Pierre was the one that suggested that video, and Pierre really enjoys these videos, and Pierre is a patron, so he gets these videos a day early and goes so far in supporting the channel, just like all these other people right down here. $3 a month gets you all my reaction videos a day early and goes so far in supporting the channel. It would not be possible if it wasn't for them. I do read all your comments, so leave some down below. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope I can make it just a little bit better. I'm going to learn a lot about the 3DS today. Apparently I mentioned not liking the 3DS in the past just because I didn't like the DS Lite because the way it felt in my hands or whatnot. I just like the bulkiness of the DS, so anything other than that just didn't feel right to me. So I was like, nah, I don't want the DS Lite. Nah, I don't want the 3DS. I remember when 3D was a huge gimmick, like all movies were coming out and they were 3D, and sometimes they'd make your head hurt, and 3D TVs being super expensive to get 3D movies at home and whatnot. I remember those gimmicks back in the day. I don't really think they're much of a thing now, but I'm going to learn a lot about the 3DS, and this is certainly going to be an interesting video nonetheless. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. Alright.
Hey y'all, Scott here. Don't mind me, just wearing my nostalgia goggles here.
Oh.
These things are a bitch. I have no idea why people wear these. The 3DS is officially 6 years old, which means it has to go through what every 6-year-old has to experience at some point.
So it's 12
being
now,
young
almost
or
13.
existing. So I thought it'd be fun to look back at my personal experiences with the system
I had none.
ever since 2011.
I originally bought the 3DS the exact day.
Apparently it has a slider.
It retailed for 250 bones for the first few months, but that obviously wasn't achieving the sales Nintendo was yearning for. Personally, I think the lackluster sales had to do more so with the lack of compelling games, but hey, it's whatever. I picked up the Cosmo Black color, with the other option being Aqua Blue.
Does it have a stand?
This sure was a design. It was a galactic slice of cake. I always found the sparkles a bit weird, and the bottom screen and circle pad would leave an imprint on the top. The start and select and home buttons all feel like you're killing an ant when you press down on them, and the stylus is on the top of the system for some godforsaken reason.
Oh,
but overall, the
that's
complaint people
weird.
had with this system when it came out was the lack of a second circle pad. Probably just because the PS Vita had one, and everybody thought it was going to be the death of the PS. Nintendo later released the Circle Pad Pro, but they didn't use this thing that much at all.
What?
A few games here and there supported it, but overall, it was just kind of a way for Nintendo to shut everybody up.
So this is like what, the Wii U before
this version is
the
for
Wii
the
U,
3DS XL, which I've still never used. About the system variants. After the original, Nintendo released the 3DS XL in 2012. It improved almost everything about the original, but I don't know, it always felt a little cheaper, and like they were specifically trying to cut costs.
Stylus is on the side.
I still vastly preferred it, but it definitely didn't feel that premium compared to the original. In 2013, incompetency took the form of an end piece of bread with the 2DS.
That is an end piece of bread.
And people flipped.
What is the 2DS?
It turned out to be a nice gateway into the fun and incredibly enduring world of being a Nintendo fan. In 2014,
I didn't know they made that
here,
one.
the new 3DS and new 3DS XL.
I didn't know there was this many versions. What?
Complaints people had with previous pieces of 3DS hardware. It included super stable 3D that tracked your eyes, better design, and a free nipple included with every purchase. I only picked up the standard new 3DS within the past year just because I love this design.
I wonder how expensive they are now.
I definitely miss the bigger screens of the XL. Before we delve into games, let's talk about the main gimmick of the 3DS.
The 3D.
Honestly, it was really cool at first. That started
was
what I used to show people what glasses-free 3D was like. Still probably the best use of 3D on the system. Over time, however, the 3D slider more consistently went down. It just kind of forced you to play the way the system wanted you to play, like sitting at a different angle to view the 3D, even with the new 3DS models. I more so keep it off for comfort reasons, just so I can sit how I please and play how I wish. The first games I got for the 3DS
I was never a big fan of
Pilot Wings
3D
Resort and
gimmicks.
Asphalt 3D. I really wanted
3D
because it was basically
it's like all the
piloting
Nintendo
minigame in Wii
64
Sports
games.
Resort. Upon playing the game, I concluded that it was a piloting minigame in Wii Sports Resort, but expanded upon. I picked up Asphalt 3D because it was the cheapest 3DS game at GameStop when I was buying Pilot Wings, so I decided to give it a go. Upon playing the game, I realized it was the cheapest 3DS game at GameStop at the time. You know all those cheap iPhone racing games that you play for like 5 minutes and delete? That's Asphalt 3D, but it's on an actual game console, so it feels even more cheap and soulless. Over the next few months, the 3DS was basically used as a virtual console machine. I would download a lot of Game Boy games I never experienced before and enjoy a fair amount of them. Donkey Kong 94 is still a great game and one of the shining gems in the Game Boy library. Super Mario Land kinda blows, but it's a Mario game, so it's amazing.
I've never played a Mario game outside of Mario Kart.
It's a little game, but it sure doesn't stand the test of time, no sirree. Over the lifespan of the system, I played through classics such as Super Mario Land 2, Mega Man, Dr. Wily's Revenge, Mario's Picross, and a handful of others. I also continually downloaded 3D classics like Xevious, Kirby's Adventure, and it was only around the time I bought 3D Classics Urban Champion that I realized I was a complete tool.
That game does not look like it's 3D at all.
Games under their own 3D Classics moniker, which was pretty neat too. NES, Game Gear, and Game Boy Color games also appeared on the eShop, which was nice, but I think I, including many others, were just dying to see GBA support. 10 GBA games were made available on the 3DS, but only to people who bought the system before the first major price cut. But I remember Nintendo continually saying they couldn't get GBA emulation right on the 3DS, so that's why they never did GBA Virtual Console. And I was always like, what? SNES games came recently last year exclusively for the new 3DS system, but this was a bit too little too late for me, as I just failed to really care.
Probably not.
When the holidays rolled around and right before Christmas, I picked up Mario Kart 7. It's a solid version of Mario Kart, definitely. However, I always felt that the biggest problem with it was the lack of single-player content, especially coming after Mario Kart DS with the mission mode and all. After the holidays, I used my Christmas money to pick up a few games, one of those being Super Mario 3D Land, also referred to as the savior of the 3DS. This game plus Mario Kart were big factors in the 3DS's thrust back into success.
Why does this remind me of Super Mario
Looking
Odyssey?
back at this Mario game, while it's not very original and does very little new itself, its use of 3D, superb level design, and controls made this an awesome handheld entry in the Mario franchise. I played this game so much, I even played through the entire game to completion without dying once, which equates to quitting out to the home menu every time I died. Speaking of Mario games, potentially the most controversial game on the system was Paper Mario Sticker Star, also referred to as... I played through the first hour or so of this game, and it was alright. However, after that, I never really played through this game again. Now, with Color Splash, that game was actually good enough for me to want to play through it to the end.
So it's a 3DS, but you're playing a game about stickers.
I don't think anybody's going to pout because I said that. This generation served as a lot of 2D platformers. Maybe too many. Actually, yeah, too many. But the 3DS had a ton of solid ones.
New Yoshi's Island.
This was the system I beat Donkey Kong Country Returns on. I always found it surprising that Donkey Kong never received an original outing on the 3DS. Like, for God's sakes, Metroid got an original 3DS game, and it was trash. With DKC Returns 3D, of course you're trading silky smooth graphics of the Wii version for purely button control and extra content. And I personally believe it's a fair trade-off, and in many respects, the 3DS version is superior. The two Kirby games on the 3DS were excellent. However, Planet Robobot was the superior one. Triple Deluxe felt a little too generic Kirby in comparison, and while it was good, Planet Robobot just had so much more going for it. But you can't talk 2D platformers without bringing up New Super Mario Bros. 2.
But how do they put new on everything? I don't think it's new anymore.
I bought it, and that always stuck out to me as kind of lame, and the game itself was truly nothing special or new. The gimmick was that coins were everywhere, and that Nintendo tasked the player to grab 1 million of them. The problem was there was no point to all the coins. There was no shot to spend.
It was literally just
there was no unlocks based on how many coins you obtained. There was nothing.
Turned into a brick.
But based on the fact that I wasn't getting way past late in my freshman year of high school, I did get 1 million coins in the game, mainly due in part to the DLC Coin Rush packs I got. One pack being advertised as a Coinado, to put it lightly. It was still a good game.
So
however,
they're basically like you get coins
by any means. But you want to talk about nothing breathtaking or surprising by any
Yoshi's
means?
Island.
Yoshi's New Island. Good God, I did not care.
New Island. What happened to the old island?
This is coming from the kid who mocked up a 3DS XL for the game, and it got covered by major gaming news outlets.
Wait, really?
I'm still blushing to this very day, but Jesus Christ,
that
this
was
game
Scott.
blows.
That's
it's so
funny.
Easy and boring, and the graphics just
I've never seen it
work
before,
most
but
of the
that's
time,
so
and the
cool.
music sounds like it's composed with wet sneakers. I wasn't a fan.
Always
you want to talk
play
about
with
cartridge-shaped
my DS
garbage?
muted.
Take a gander at Chibi Robo Ziplash.
This game blows.
All right, whatever.
Why is the toilet water blue?
Platformers on the 3DS, but the majority of them were pretty good to pretty great. But puzzles are also pretty banging, and the 3DS
Dr.
had
Mario,
some wonderful puzzle
Tetris,
games. The
Mario
most memorable
Tetris
for me was Pushmo, and man, it was a game. It even had graphics and sound, and it's on the 3DS too. I was in heaven. This was a great little puzzle game, and the series has had multiple entries both on the 3DS and Wii U. I genuinely hope it continues on the Switch.
Is
There
it?
were also
Has
a few
it?
Mario vs. Donkey Kong games on the eShop. Oh, I'm sorry, Mario and Donkey Kong. This
Both
was a
of
different
them.
take on the formula and brought the series into 3D, and this was way more interesting and fun than the 2D versions. Professor Layton had a few fun entries on the 3DS, but in
Who's
terms
that?
of traditional puzzle games like Tetris, we had Tetris Access, which I
Tetris?
didn't really get into. Yeah, I don't know. It
Why?
was just generic Tetris, nothing really
Yeah,
that
how are you?
Puzzle and Dragon Z plus Puzzle and Dragon Super Mario Brothers Edition. It's a decent package.
That's a long name.
Didn't really get into it. As a fun little distraction, there was Ultimate NES Remix, the same NES
amount of
remix
games
Nintendo
on this
said
wall I've
couldn't
never
run on
touched.
the 3DS. This port was mainly the best of compilation of the first 2 games on Wii U, and the game works leagues better on a handheld, but it feels mostly like a cheap port as it doesn't include 3D and doesn't have much in terms of
we're just
3DS
gonna
exclusive
go
content.
through the ground like
In terms
that.
of simulation type games,
Still
I
never
played
touched Animal Crossing.
New Leaf, and Tomodachi Life.
Never
It's a bit weird
nope.
because I can say without hesitation, New Leaf was a better game, but I enjoyed Tomodachi Life considerably more. I don't know why, but it doesn't matter as Tomodachi Life got lame after a week.
I guess you could have Mii's on the 3DS
for the Switch with a metric 4 more loaves of content. Animal Crossing got a spin-off on the 3DS in the form of Happy Home Designer, but I actually haven't played it.
Wow.
3DS had so many Zelda games in the form of remakes.
I really
ports,
wonder
and
how
games.
that works.
It was pretty crazy.
Just
the main one I played here was A Link Between Worlds,
like,
and it's pretty fun to look
get
back
called
and see
every time they
major
bring
ideas
anything
Breath of the Wild
somewhat
uses starting
interesting
in this game, like the non-linearity and basically having all the items from the get-go. Now, I really liked every Zelda
still
game
need to
I
play a
played,
Zelda
but
game.
I
I've never touched
finished
one.
them, just because I play them for a while, set them down, come back a few days later, and I'm completely lost. This changed with Breath of the Wild as I actually beat the game, but for me, somebody who can't handle the traditional Zelda gameplay, may be more down for
what's wrong with the
It was okay,
traditional
but
Zelda
they really
gameplay?
made it exclusively for multiplayer. Playing single player isn't fun and emphasizes loneliness.
There's multiplayer
Finally, we
Zelda?
have to talk about Smash Brothers. This
Smash
was
Brothers
when
on
the
a
3DS
DS feels
peaked, in my
weird.
opinion, as the majority of games that came after it really
I've only
didn't
ever played
appeal to me.
Melee for one
2015
weekend.
and 2016 were just filled with RPGs and poor quality titles, and I'm not necessarily a fan of either. Smash ran beautifully on the system, which was jaw-dropping in many cases.
But
I always wanted a portable Smash Brothers ever since I played Brawl back in 2008.
Is that
I
what
have
you
to
need the
say,
second,
Smash 3DS didn't disappoint.
joystick for?
One of the crowning achievements of the 3DS, though, was the eShop. So much variety and so many games. I already talked about the Virtual Console, but I want to reiterate how cool it was to see Game Boy games back in action. In my opinion, a ton of Game Boy games are more often forgotten than NES and SNES games, so it was great to have all of these on one system. Plus, you could change the color from black and white to puke green, and oh boy, what a touch! In terms of eShop
Why?
games, Colors 3D was a
Is
fun
that like for
3D
colorblind
painting
people,
program
maybe?
that I used here and there, and Burn Mania 3D was a hilarious joke until we all realized it was real. Harmonite was a super fun
What do you mean it
game
was
by
real?
Game Freak, and Kersploosh was one of the cheapest
Okay.
games Nintendo put out on the eShop price-wise. And it
First
was an
off, I
arcade
was like,
rockfaller, and one of the finest
Flappy
of its kind.
Bird
You
and
could download trailers for upcoming games.
what was the
and
other
view them in
one?
3D, which I had a fondness for. I love keeping these trailers on my system just because a lot of these showcase these games early in development. Back when Mario Tennis Open, Sticker Star, and A Link Between Worlds were just referred to as their franchise names and logos were different. Also, this thing plays DS games. The 3DS
I would
is
hope
truly
so.
one of the most bang for your buck systems out there.
At $250?
All my
How
memories
much
linked
was
to
the
it were
original
positive.
DS?
I had a ton of fun with this system over the past 6 years.
The 3DS has lived an incredibly
So why is that
full
two
life, but I'm glad
cameras?
Nintendo
Take 30
decided
pictures?
to kill it off. That means all of their development efforts can go towards the Switch, and that means we get more games for the Switch.
What? I guess it didn't age well. That makes sense. This was like the most liked comment on the last video by Pierre. If you see another comment down below that you also agree with, definitely like it as a way to like vote for it. Because I do read all your comments, so definitely leave them down below. Like I said, I only ever had the original DS. I didn't like the way the DS Lite felt at all, and I never played with a 3DS at all. And I was like, I wasn't interested in it because why would I want to play every single game in 3D? And then people were like, there was a Switch for it. I was like, huh? But this also came out, 2011, which is the same year I got my own Xbox 360, I believe. That's actually when the That Goes Moo became a natural thing. I think it was like June, July, right around my birthday, right as I finished up with 8th grade, because my brother went to college and he took his Xbox, so I had to get my own Xbox. So, yeah, that was when I got the 360. At that point, I'm like, I don't want to play with you anymore. I have a console with a controller and Call of Duty, so why do I need a DS? But that was just me when I was, 13? No, I was actually 13 when I got a 360. But this is a look back at the Nintendo 3DS. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to next Scott the Wild's video. I learned a lot about the 3DS in this video, and I look forward to learning more about games I've never heard of. But until the next video, take care, and cue the music.
We were